utilize it to get those counters. Alright, so we're going to focus on them, and of course, the hero of the top 4, Lukas Carlson, playing the control deck of the top 8. Outlasted 4 other players, and you know what? My money's on him to win the whole thing. Saying it now.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Shaheen Surani, the icy grip, will be rooting for the control deck.
It's not rooting, my friend. It's fate. It's destiny.
Oh,
Lucas's destiny is to defeat these monsters. How else to better describe an Esper, blue, white, and Elspeth, and all things good fighting against monsters? You know, you want the monsters to win.
I always want the monsters.
The dark side, my friend. You gotta get away from the Sith mentality here. You have the side of light over here. So unexciting few turns of land. Lukas much rather be in the land play mentality here. Zach, of course, is having a slow start because, as you know, Zach's got a lot of 2-mana accelerators. He's got 2-mana accelerators.
He's got mana creatures in his deck.
Yeah.
So playing them out.
Lukas has a lot of good stuff. I think he has double Verdict, Doomblade, and yeah, there's a dissolve there. Interesting dissolve there. I wouldn't have dissolved that there. Not a chance.
Whoa. But now Zach hasn't played a third land.
Yeah, I mean, now with that in mind,
It's devastating.
Yeah, no, knowing what we know now.
I mean, given the situation, I guess he didn't know he wasn't going to have a third land.
Right, yeah. It's always better to play the spell than play your land, just so you can see if you can make him waste a counter spell on, say, an 0-3 mana guy, you know? But hey, Zach plays a land here. Those dissolves are going to be very important later in the game, because Esper, even though you have 2 heroes downfall, after that, those planeswalkers are there to stay. You have Detention Sphere, which is kind of fragile. You really want to save those counter spells for haymakers from this deck. Dragons, things that are a little bit harder to deal with. So he plays a couple creatures here, and we're going to see a Verdict here to wipe the board. And I like the Verdict here because there's a second one. If I only had the one Verdict, again, an Elvish Visionary and then a Scavenging is not too scary. So let's see if
Lukas Carlson making some kind of gestures here, pointing to the board and then up to the camera.
I think he
seems very comfortable here in the feature match area.
As he should, as any control mage should. The monsters should be scared right now. Because you know who makes that Supreme Verdict. Wrath of God, Supreme Verdict, Day of Judgment. You know where these come from. These are from the heavens. This is destiny, you know?
Yeah, well, Zach loads up with another mana creature, his second Sylvan Carrier to the game.
Okay. And again, he has that second Verdict, so Zach's going to have to kind of overextend here to have some kind of pressure, because the dragon by itself, Lukas has the Doomblade. But you know, I think if he plays dragon here, I would just Verdict, just to get rid of the sorcery speed removal and save that Doomblade for other things, because Doomblade hits everything in his deck. So it's just one of those.
An important interaction for this deck, the monsters, is when you go monstrous, if the creature is Doombladed in response, you don't get that trigger. Like, for example, Ember Swallower.
Right.
You really want to deny them that trigger.
Yeah, so you see, he's Doomblades here. I don't like the Doomblade here, because the Verdict, again, when you're later in the game, or in turn 7, turn 8, the Verdicts get worse and worse, and the spot removal spells get better and better. And the Doomblade is just kind of like, it is an answer all later in the game.
And we know that Zach has been a little slow with his mana development. He's already had 2 mana creatures killed, so also killing the mana creature as well might keep him off of some of his bigger spells.
Yeah, you're going to need to jump for that 2-for-1 with this Verdict, because you're not going to get any more value out of it at this point, because Zach doesn't need to put anything else on the board besides one monstrous creature. So you need a Verdict here, whatever he plays. Get rid of those 2 spells, and then start going 1-for-1 with him. You'll beat him in the long run. So that's definitely the play I would do.
There's Pelucranos, World Eater, the 5/5 for 4. With a big monstrous ability, lots of text on that. Essentially, it fights a whole bunch of creatures.
Yeah, if we can get that on the screen, because actually, I'm not exactly an expert on these things. Like I said, when green cards are spoiled, and there's the Verdict like I thought it would do. When cards like these are spoiled, these green cards, and they have a lot of words on them, I just stop reading them. Because
you just have to look at the power and toughness for green creatures.
Pretty much, and I just don't like to. I mean, it's not like I ever play it. So, all right, so monstrous X here, and when it comes to monstrous deals X damage to divide as any creatures you choose. That's pretty good. God, I want to open that in my sealed.
It's not the greatest in this matchup because it is creatures your opponent controls, so you can't just target your own guys to make him bigger.
Right, yeah. So he's just a 5/5 for 4. And we say that now.
But you can monstrous him, but the trigger just won't do anything.
Yeah. And even if it's a 5/5 for 4, it's funny that we're in a day of Magic where that's not even that good anymore. It's like, that's all it is? That's nothing.
Yeah, people used to play 5/5s for 4 with drawbacks.
Yeah, deal damage you every turn, yeah.
Jade Leech.
Yeah. Craziness. Alright, so we have Domri here.
And a Scavenging Ooze.
Ooze. See, this is where he's going to detention here, or actually he's probably going to waste his Hero's Downfall here. Either one's fine here. I think this is where, again, that dissolve on that mana guy. Think about having that later in the game. It's just so important in this matchup. And if we get to game 2 and 3 here, we're going to need to really save counterspells against the monster deck for things that, lurk.
Things that matter.
Things that matter. Things that are game breaking. You can't just counter mana guys, even if you have a spidey sense that he's low on mana, because you're not winning the game quickly, so stopping him from developing his board is not going to be that useful. Because eventually Zach's going to draw lands. Yeah, and then you'll have 7 cards to start dropping, and you're going to need that dissolve. All right, so we have again a situation where Zach, not the start he needs against Esper. Definitely, the game is far from being over. But Lukas is in a great spot. He's got 3 removal spells in his hand. What the card he's searching for right now is 100% Sphinx's Revelation. Obviously, Elspeth's good. There's a lot of good cards. But this deck, the Esper build, the way Lukas has it, the way other Esper players are playing with actually 0 Aetherling or 1 Aetherling, or just very few win conditions besides the Planeswalkers, you need to chain some Revelations so you can actually have a fistful of removal, not just 3 for the 3 cards in Zach's hand.
So Zach Stern kind of pseudo-monstrous his Scavenging Ooze. Exiles 3 creatures, makes it a 5/5, gains 3 life, and Lukas decides that's enough of that and casts Away of the few spell far
away with you.
Oh, and then turns it right around with an Elspeth, Sun's Champion. So here we go. Now the control deck is taking control.
Yep. So the draw he needed was either Revelation or Elspeth, and Elspeth is the key card here. Elspeth again, great Planeswalker. Much better than other Planeswalkers that were in this set.
Okay, well, Stormbreath Dragon. This is going to be one of the classic interactions of the standard format for the next year, maybe even the full 2 years.
Elspeth and Stormbreath Dragon.
Yeah, Stormbreath Dragon not quite enough to kill an Elspeth on the first hit. That's going to be a big interaction.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And Esper is in the article coming out I'm writing, Esper is really built to beat Stormbreath Dragon because of all the black removal spells, and we mentioned that a lot yesterday. Compared to like the blue-white red deck I suggested. So if you think there's going to be a lot of red in your area, then Esper's a way to go for mid-range red. But then again, we saw what the red aggro decks do to Esper, this fast ones. They just mop the floor with them. So
yeah, if all of your lands shock you and or come into play tapped, the faster red aggro decks are going to eat you alive.
Yeah, and you don't have any life gain in your deck besides Sphinx Revelation, which is like a 10 mana spell.
So Stormbreath Dragon attacked. Lukas went for the Doomblade. In response to the Doomblade, Zach Stern activated his Monstrous. So now with the triggered ability, he's redirecting the 2 damage to Elspeth.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And this is a
good play there from Zach Stern.
And a little misstep by Lukas not doing it when, he was tapped out. It's something hard to see a lot of these. These are still new cards, and we noticed yesterday a player had a Monstrous Dragon out that was Tidebender Mage tapped, and he could have Monstrous it a few turns in a row. And it's just something you don't really see with these cards yet. It's not something that comes into play. But I bet you Zach Stern is all about having the Monstrous as creatures. His deck is
and the Stormbreath Dragon. We were talking earlier before we came on camera that it's basically the same name as Thundermaw Hellkite.
Yeah.
It is some kind of weather, mouth, and then dragon. So
right. It's going to be Weathermouth Dragon.
Next year, M15, there will be another version, and we'll probably just call it Weathermouth Dragon.
Weathermouth Dragon.
Why bother with the thesaurus?
Weathermouth Dragon. It's a pretty scary card. Maybe we can call it something a little less intimidating, like kind of like sprinkling, like, or we can call it like see what's misty smallmouth hatchling will be the new card.
Zach Stern clears out the 6/1/1 soldier tokens from Elspeth with an overloaded Mizium Mortars.
God, this game has gotten to a point where
here we go.
Lukas is definitely
Cycle the Azorius Charm.
If you're Lukas, you got to be kicking yourself right now because he gave away that Elspeth, and you know, even though Zach doesn't have anything on the board, we know his top decks could be monstrous.
Yeah,
could they be?
They could be terrifying.
They could be terrifying.
Both players, though, just drawing lands.
Okay. So, then again, even though Zach's top decks are decent, Lukas still can just draw a Revelation to put this away. But here we go.
Oh.
And it'll be syncopated for a lot. So, I like the syncopate here. I think he has Hero's Downfall in his hand. But then again, that can deal with... I'd rather deal with a Domri that way, because you don't want him to have a 2/2 left over. So his hand is just full of removal. So Zach needs a lot of top decks. We've seen it before, though. I mean, you know, you just draw 4 creatures in a row, and you're good. Oh, here's another removal spell worthy play. You drew another Reveler. These Planeswalkers made... I mean, they put a lot of... there's definitely a lot of flavor in each of them. It's funny. Some of the best Planeswalkers of all time have been pretty bland, like Jace Beleren. Pretty bland card.
Yeah, draw cards, or draw cards.
Yeah, it's not even the first Garrick. It was, I mean, untap Lamp of Beast in play in a run. They were very basic, but these actually, I mean, if you look at these, they're pretty complex with what they do here. I mean, the first ability there, who would think that would be relevant? Adding mana. I mean, nobody did. Even when we read set reviews from Mr. Brad Nelson and others on Star City, I thought, who's going to use that first ability, you know, religiously? And Zach,
Brian Kibler. We'll use it.
Brian Kibler's a maniac.
You just ask someone like Eric Klug to alter a Xenagos in the likeness of Brian Kibler right now.
Brian Kibler was sitting next to me at Pro Tour Paris when his Callblade won, the first incarnation of Callblade with Feast and Famine. And he saw me with Squadron Hawk out, and he's like, "Ha! You can form a new Shaheen." And I'm like, and then he saw me cast Mass Polymorph. I was like, "Nope." Not true. I'll never conform. I went 4-1 in that constructed portion of that. That's pretty good.
Zach's turn. Tries to stick an Ember Swallower. Lukas cycled Azorius Charm. Didn't find anything. Now he's going to look again.
Here's the benefit of the Esper decks, too. Because you have the 8 full cycling, or 8 full of the Scryland. So you can actually... I don't think he's playing all 8 lands. He's playing a lot more basics, I noticed. The Esper list I have only has 5 basics. I think he has more. But yeah, that Scryland is pretty sweet when these control decks, especially later in the game.
Well, he has the Detention Sphere, so keeping Zach from going monstrous and eating some lands. Swallowing the
lands, yeah. God, think about, there was actually no way Zach could have killed Elspeth at any point if he would have dealt with that monstrous dragon. So Elspeth would have been out, he would have had a ton of tokens, and it would have been humongous, and it's pretty rough, man.
Yeah, the key error earlier on, Lukas Carlson had an Elspeth with 2 loyalty counters facing a Stormbreath Dragon. He let Zach untap with the dragon, attack, and then he tried to Doomblade, and then in response, Zach Stern with 7 lands was able to activate monsters, use the triggered ability of Stormbreath Dragon to deal 2 damage redirected to Elspeth.
Yeah.
And that's really been the key point in the game here.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much... Lukas drew the Elspeth. That was the card he needed, that or a Revelation. And then to top it all off, Zach's only out was if he waits on the Doomblade. He waits on the Doomblade, and Elspeth is gone now. And this is where we're at here. We're at a ooze that's getting out of control. Lukas has 1 removal spell in hand for it. However, Zach's still drawing cards, and every time he draws a creature here, he's just putting the pressure on.
And he still has this 2/2 green-red Satyr token from Xenagos. So chipping away. Not taking a big chunk. Nope. Hero's Downfall.
Yep, and that's going to resolve. Lukas is going to go to 2. Damage lower is going to go to 12. Zach's actually out of spells. He has Mortars and land. So we're now in full top deck mode for both players. So let's see if Lukas can draw a revelation here and just put this one away. And that's another land.
I have not seen Sphinx's
I haven't
Revelation
seen anything.
yet.
Yeah, I actually seen pretty much no spells.
Are we sure it's in his deck?
I think so.
Double check here.
Looks like Zach drew. Did he draw a mana dork? Just trying to see. Can't really see that card there. Or is that the fight creature?
That is the World Eater.
Okay.
Mr. Kobayashi, hot
Wow.
dog eating champion.
Oh man, and a land here. Well, how big can he make that creature?
Let's see, green, double X, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
That's game over.
8, 9.
That's game over. God,
So
can you believe how we got to this
plus
point?
3 or plus 4?
If it's +4, it's dead.
Plus 4 right now.
Yeah, that's dead then. That's 10 damage. Man, can you believe this? I can't believe this.
Is he just gonna?
He's gonna wait for Lukas to pass priority. And
Well, if he
Zach will-
passes, then they deal damage.
Sorry, no.
so-
So after blockers here, he's gonna get through the blocker phase here.
Do you go for it here?
Yes. He has one card in hand.
Yeah, Lukas has been cycling those Azorius charms, digging. So put his
Wait, is
shields.
that not
in.
lethal? He's only doing it for 3? 7, 8, 9?
I guess it's enough because he's got the 2/2 as well.
Yeah, that's 9 damage, right?
No.
4 plus 7.
It's 10. It's a 5/5, and then he plus 3.
Oh, it's a
plus
5/5.
3.
I'm sorry, I thought it was a 4/5. Okay, gotcha. All right, so we're gonna go to game 2 here. Lukas smacking himself in the head. Obviously, that's the Elspeth play is. Here's how I think about it. Even if you have a planeswalker out and you have nothing else, that's your game. You got to look at the board and say, what can he possibly do to kill this creature? What does that monstrous ability do? And you got to kind of scan the board to make sure the coast is clear. I don't fault him. Again, it's much easier for me up here or Ricky or anybody watching to say, oh yeah, I mean, what are you doing here? But then again, when you're in the situation, sometimes you don't see everything.
Well, and credit to Zach Stern as well for waiting, baiting out the removal spell first.
Okay. So it looks like we have a little bit of trivia here. We'll come back to the booth here and do a little trivia question. I guess. How about I do the little trivia this time? I got something.
Yeah, I already know the answer to your trivia question.
Do you?
I'm going to write it down
Go
over to
ahead.
the side here.
Okay. Let me see if he does this first. I want to make sure before I ask it so I can change my question. All right, never mind. All right, so new sets upon us, Theros.
Yep.
Okay. And a lot of sweet new cards came out. A lot of new Planeswalkers came out. You have Planeswalkers of all colors and varieties. Very, very diverse. And this is for 6 months of free premium. So if you get this right, then you get half a year free premium. So out of all these new Planeswalkers, there's one Planeswalker out there that had 0 appearances in the Esper list and the Pro Tour and Wafo's list. 0 in his Esper list. 0 of these Planeswalkers. And to give you a little bit more of a hint, there's a couple of them in the top 4 lists of this Esper deck, this Planeswalker. So what?
The one we just saw.
The one we just saw. So
Lukas Carlson.
What Planeswalker is in Lukas Carlson's decks? Not Wafo's deck. Wafo, the
Guillaume
master
Wafo Tapa.
Pro Tour aficionado juggernaut. What Planeswalker did he not find good enough to put in his Esper deck? Go ahead and tweet us at SCG Live, hashtag SCGMKE. If you get it right, 6 months of premium.
Hashtag SCG Premium specifically.
Oh, I'm sorry.
for the contest.
Hashtag, yes, definitely. Hashtag SCG Premium. Excuse me.
No rush. Make sure you get the answer right. Check out the lists on StarCityGames.com to see what Lukas is playing. Check out Guillaume's list. Double check, make sure. We will choose one random winner from all of the correct answers.
Yeah. So make sure you take your time. It's kind of.
I've got my answer
My
right
hint
here.
for you is kind of like it's the Tybalt of control.
Oh,
The Tybalt of control.
that's a little harsh. Tybalt
Tybalt's
was
2 mana. It's pretty good.
Is Tybalt the worst planeswalker of all time?
I think 6 mana Chandra is the worst. That card is
maybe.
just awful.
I mean, the thing is,
That card is just
even in limited, I remember seeing people cast Tybalt
Yeah.
and not activate it.
No, yeah, but
So that's a pretty bad Planeswalker.
I saw Tybalt and like people play it for fun. I see it in like EDH played a little bit. I see it like
Really?
I see it in like random like
Is it
random
fun to lose?
It is fun to lose. Fun to discard cards at random. But the 6-mana Chandra, man, because they said, you know what, the first Chandra didn't get played that much in Constructed. We're gonna make another Chandra. We're gonna make a decent one, and then they come out with that card.
Yeah, Chandra Blaze.
Good lord, man.
One of the more fantastic Planeswalker arts, though, by Steve Argyle. Chandra's really just like...
Yeah, it's crazy. You know what my favorite art Planeswalker is?
Is it a Jace? Jace the Mind Sculptor?
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Jason Chan.
Yeah, Jace the Mind Sculptor. Best art out there. That's why I want to, collect those cards. So
collect them in random prizes. Mythic Madness at Somerset. If you weren't here yesterday, Shaheen dropped out of the Invitational on Saturday in Somerset a few months ago. Played in the Standard Open where they were giving away 7 of each Mythic Rare to entrants. You opened your envelope and got Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. Yeah, I felt the power rush through,
I think at the next one you're probably going to open this Planeswalker, this Esper Planeswalker that you are.
Oh God, I hope I do. I will. Here's my promise to you, listening to, on
give it away.
SCG Live here. If I do open this particular Planeswalker, I will stand and tear it into pieces.
Oh, don't
do
that.
All $20.
Give it away to somebody who wants it.
All right, whoever can get to me first at the event, I'll hand it to you before I tear it up.
All right, let's get to these sideboards.
So from Lukas, we have the Blood Baron of Vizkopa. Very good card. Doesn't have the protections that you would want in this matchup, but then again, I kind of like it against creature-based decks in general.
Do you?
Yeah, I still like the card. I don't know, maybe because as you saw in that last game, it kind of, if you're getting beat by a monster, let's say even a monstrous dragon, it's like, remember the old days with Baneslayer Angel? If you're attacking back with lifelink, you're able to combat any one-for-one creature, forcing them to commit more to the board, and then you can handle those creatures. I don't know if I'd board them both in, but I do like having a creature in my deck.
I don't know, it seems like
we're at no creatures right now.
All Lukas really has is that extra Doomblade. Thought seizes, useful early to take out a monster, but a very bad top deck.
Definitely Aetherling, because that's how you kill the Planeswalkers later in the game. You don't have to use any removal spells. You don't have to do anything else. Aetherling is actually one of the best tools for Control to deal with Planeswalkers. And it saw play at the very end of the last season when people had Aetherling being able to fight Garrett Primal Hunter, being able to get through with the unblockable mode there. So I can see Aetherling coming in. I see Doomblade coming in. Definitely see a few, maybe a Blood Baron come in.
Zach Stern has a lot of options here. He's got the Mistcutter Hydras.
Okay, so we have an update here.
Blue uncounterable.
So the reason, again, we didn't really feature the other match is because we have a quick 2-0 Jeremy Stowe against Adrian Sullivan. Our own Adrian Sullivan is eliminated from the top 4, but congratulations to him for a job well done. It looks like the red monsters that were clashing together, one red monster was a little bit bigger than the other one. So
Jeremy Stowe with the more classic, if 2 weeks into a format we can call something classic, mono red deck, very aggressive with Fanatic of Mogus, makes it to the finals here at the StarCityGames.com Standard Open in Milwaukee. You can join us on Twitter at the hashtag SCGMKE. Tell us what you think about Jeremy Stowe making it through to the finals and who you think he will face here. This other semifinal match, Lukas Carlson down 1 game to Zach Stern's green-red monsters. We were talking a little bit about sideboards. Zach Stern, I was saying, has options. Mistcutter Hydra, not bad. Chandra Pyromaster, pretty good against Control. And Burning Earth.
Yep.
If you're Lukas Carlson, you have to be terrified of that Burning Earth.
Yeah, Burning Earth is very terrifying. Another reason why Esper is weak against these aggro decks, we're going to see, right now, Stowe is just cheering Lukas on. He wants to see Esper in the finals.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to.
Sure.
There's not a match that is more unbalanced in this format. And that's another reason why I'm championing blue-white-red, because blue-white-red can beat the red decks. You have life gain in the form of Helix.
Yeah,
you have Chain to the Rocks and earlier spells. You have early things like Mizium Mortars and removal spells that are similar to Doomblade, but that can have later pretty big game applications in the Wrath of God mode that it has.
Can you imagine if Doomblade could be overloaded?
Overloaded, yeah. Just Doom, send everything to Doom.
Doomblade becomes Plague Wind.
Yeah, a lot of illegal targets here, trying to target some black creatures. That'd be fun. All right, so Zach here, Mana Guy, turn 1. That's what we want, right?
Yeah, Elvish Mystic, a.k.a. Findhorn Elf, a.k.a. Llanowar Elf.
There's been a lot of one-drop green elves here, and here's another Mana Guy. And Lukas has to love this if he has a verdict in his hand, but right now he's got 2 black-blue lands. There's a Hallowed Fountain here. So let's see, does he have the verdict? He does not have the verdict. Did he? Let's see, how many cards do he have in his hand? Did he mulligan? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes.
Detention
He
Sphere.
mulliganed, because he's on the... No, he was on the play. No, he did not mulligan. Wait. If he has 6 cards in his hand and doesn't play his land, yeah, he mulliganed then.
So he has to think, I was going to say Hallowed Fountain untapped, and he's going to probably cycle that Azorius Charm, looking for his second white source and his Supreme Verdict. Yeah, like at this point, these Mana Guys, you're not going to be able to spot removal. You want to get to the money cards. Azorius Charm is such a mediocre card for these Esper decks. Well, especially in this matchup. I mean, like, it's pretty good against decks that don't have monstrous abilities that destroy all your land or deal damage to your dome here. Oh, man, is this Burning Earth? He has a Burning Earth in his hand. That is for the Ember Swallower. That's a good play. He's trying to draw a counterspell out. If Burning Earth resolves here, this game is going to be real tough for Lukas when he has the Detention Sphere, but he literally has to bolt himself just to cast that card. So it's devastating against his Esper decks. So we'll let you know that Lukas does have 8 basic lands in his deck, 4 plains, 4 islands, but none of them on the board currently. Yeah, this is... He cycles his Azorius Charm, he finds a Doomblade. Not bad with that Ember Swallower threatening. Man, this is trying to think of the outs for Burning Earth in this deck is just tough. Red, white, and blue, you have a Wear and Tear option where you have a good disenchant option. But in Esper, I mean, you have Sundering Growth, but it's white. You have Detention Sphere, but you bolt yourself. So this is now he's in a World of Hurt because he uses the Detention Sphere in the Ember Swallower. World of Hurt is an understatement. Slam down that Burning Earth. This is like the Blood Moon and Legacy here when you have no basics. This is one of those, you better draw a Detention Sphere now. Another one. Slam. Yep, this is coming down immediately here. And the Earth burns. And there it is. No, not Mana Barbs. Obviously, Mana Barbs would be way better than this card, because not only can you bring it against Esper, you bring Mana Barbs against any control deck. And it used to be a real played card. Okay, but it is on Zach. Oh, there we go. Wow. That was a perfect draw right there. Not only is it a white source, but a basic land for Lukas. But he has a basic island in his hand too, so he's actually got a few basics. Lukas is playing an Esper deck with more basics than the normal Esper list do. So I mean, he's not as dead to rights to Burning Earth, but it's still real bad news though. I was gonna say it's on Zach's Stern here to remember his Burning Earth triggers when Lukas casts his spells. We saw Hall of Famer now. We have the ceremony in Dublin. Hall of Famer Huey Jensen won a standard open in Salt Lake City, primarily because his opponent forgot, I believe, like a dozen Burning Earth triggers. Well, how about here? When Zach, just to help people listening, and this is good that you're around, Ricky, he taps his own dual land here. Does Zach have to announce his own Burning Earth trigger, or does Lukas have to remind him? He does. Zach is responsible for his own triggers if it... How many times can you forget something like that, before it starts to become an issue? Well, in a tournament, if you get 3 of a gameplay error, which mistrigger is, it is upgradable to a game loss. However, the Star City Open Series, we are starting a new day, and those actually reset every day. So Zach essentially has 2 more mistriggers. Okay, yeah, because right now Lukas read Burning Earth, and he's correct that Zach has to announce his own Burning Earth trigger on himself. Yeah, what it is, it's a symmetrical trigger. It deals damage to both players. If Lukas taps his lands and Zach forgets, that's okay. Yeah. If Zach taps his own lands and forgets, that's not okay. Such a weird card, or weird interaction.
It's because, you know, it's tough to, it happens so much. It's a trigger that happens 3-4 times a turn sometimes.
Yeah, have you played with this on Moto yet? It's just
yeah,
like all the triggers.
I remember Mana Barbs killing a Johnny Vengeance when I was playing Ramp because they can redirect that damage. So.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
that is true. That's another good way to kill planeswalkers.
Yeah, if you have a planeswalker out and tap these lands. Oh, here's another dragon. Not another, but the first one for this match. And it looks Lukas has the Doomblade here, but then again, look at Lucas's hand. It's just a ton of lands again. I mean, he's really just floundering here. He's not able to draw spells. How can you win without spells, my friend? It's tough road ahead. He's really thinking about that Elspeth mistake game 1. And this game, I don't see anything he could have done to avoid this, because look again, there's more land.
Well, it was the choosing to use the Detention Sphere on the Ember Swallow instead of the Doomblade, and then having no follow-up to the Burning Earth problem.
Yeah, it looks like, in hindsight, that was fine, because it looks like he would have just died to that creature anyway, because he just hasn't drawn a spell. Poor guy. So hopefully, he left that card on top. Hopefully it's a good one. It looks like Zach doesn't have much either. Oh wait, what's this?
That's a Ratchet Bomb. I believe it's the
I've never seen that one before in my life.
M14 Buy a Box promo.
Alright, so Ratchet Bomb's real good here. Oh, Elspeth.
Take up to 3, possibly, and kill the Detention Sphere.
This is a good draw right here. And he knew it was there because of seeing the top. Because now the board is clogged. He really doesn't have to tap his lands much more anyway at this point.
Yeah, it looks like Zach has pointed out the Burning Earth triggers. Take 3 to cast that Planeswalker. But you cannot redirect at this point because the triggers happened before the Elspeth resolved.
Yeah.
Alright, gonna take up the Ratchet Bomb, so he's looking to free his Ember Swallower.
Something that came into play also with Burning Earth in the last season, and when we're commentating, you actually at 1 life can tap all your lands to stack the triggers in order to do a spell, right?
Yeah,
so you can kill somebody with, we saw Warrior's Helix, when he was at 3 life, tapping 4 lands, stacking the triggers, and helixing someone to death.
Yeah, it's a nice play. Also a nice play is Piling Needle on Elspeth Sun's Champion.
Not too bad either.
Not too bad.
So, we're back to square one with Lukas here. He's going to need to draw out of this. So, with that interaction, Sphinx's Revelation can actually be used to counteract all the mana bar, or excuse me, the Burning Earth triggers, because you can stack all the triggers for mana, right?
Yeah,
and then,
essentially.
Yeah.
Now here you're talking about you're championing blue, white, red. One of the cards you mentioned was Wear and Tear.
Mm-hmm.
How great would that be right now, targeting Piling Needle and Burning Earth?
That would just be a blowout.
Instead, you have Lame Duck, Azorius Charm, once again cycling.
Yeah. Cycling, and the funny thing about Azorius Charm, it's kind of like one of those necessary evils, since there's no real Augur Bolus or way to dig and cantrip, or no Wall of Omens rather. You have to just play.
Think Twice. That's
Think
a big
Twice
loss.
too is a big one. So you need to have something, otherwise you're just not going to hit your land drops. Nope, and here's Chandra Pyromancer, as mentioned earlier. I don't think Lukas is going to like this one. So he says no.
Takes
2 more, goes to 5. He's going to scry 1 here.
So he needs to scry for a different deck.
Right. I wonder
where
if
he can draw Wear and Tear.
Well, yeah, exactly. I wonder if he knows about stacking those triggers. I'm sure Lukas does, because if he has a Revelation, he needs to leave that on top, because that is a great card to draw here. You're actually going to net. You don't lose any life here, because you have the 3 basics originally.
Mm-hmm.
You gain a life for each of those duels you tap. So you're actually going to stay at 5, but you get to draw a whole new hand.
Well, here comes the Ember Swallower, though. It's going to be freed by the Detention Sphere, and Zach does have enough mana to
withstand
monstrosify it, monstrosification, transmogrification.
I don't like Lukas not playing that Hallowed Fountain in his hand, because again, when you draw this Revelation here, you're going to need to... Bluffing here is not going to do anything. Oh, and here we go! Yes! What a great card. You see what he drew? You see it? It's an Ashiok.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's see what this does here. It's going to be fantastic. Sorry for my sarcasm. You guys have been watching all weekend. You know, this has been kind of like the running joke of the weekend here. And the dragon.
Takes 1 again from the Temple of Abandon.
Here comes the dragon. And
Going to the dome.
Now this is a situation here. All right, the game is over. Zach again, Burning Earth, really puts a a real stick in the mud here, isn't it? It is just real tough to beat when you're Esper.
Yeah, and we saw what happened there in game 2. Zach led off with the Ember Swallower. Lukas had both Detention Sphere and Doomblade in his hand. Chose to use the Detention Sphere on the Ember Swallower, and then Doomblade, got used on a creature later, but could not deal with the Burning Earth.
Right.
So that was a decision made primarily based on maybe mana, using all of his mana early on.
Yeah.
And just was not thinking about what threats from Zach Stern's deck he was afraid of.
Yeah,
Burning Earth, one of the big ones, there was only a 2 of out of the sideboard, but Detention Spheres is the only answer to that.
That's true, and the worst part is I don't blame him for it per se. He should have switched the order, but it turned out in hindsight, the guy just couldn't draw a spell to save his life. So
yeah,
that
is true.
It was